I'm Joy Martin from Grace Cooperative Preschool. I'm so excited to be here on Earth Day with Nanette Heffernan, author of Earth Hour.
Hi, thanks so much for having me, Joy. I'm so excited and happy Earth Day.
Yes, happy Earth Day. Nanette, tell us a little bit, I've got your book right here. Tell us a little bit about how you came up with the idea for Earth Hour.
So, Earth Hour happens every year on a Saturday night near the equinox of March. One year I was driving home. I live in Lafayette, but I was driving home from an event and I went over the Golden Gate Bridge and the lights went out. And I thought there had been a power outage. And actually, I found out shortly thereafter that it was Earth Hour. And I thought, oh, that's the perfect book for me to write. And so that's how I came up with the idea.
That's so great. Tell us a little bit about your book.
So as I mentioned, Earth Hour, it's sponsored by the World Wildlife Fund. And it happens every year on a Saturday night near the equinox of March. Wherever you are on the planet at 8:30 local time, you turn your lights off for 1 hour. And you can do whatever it is. Everybody celebrates Earth Hour differently. Personally, I love to spend the time at home with my husband and kids, and we play board games by candlelight. This year we played Uno, lots and lots of Uno. But big monuments all over our planet go dark on Earth Hour as well, like the Statue of Liberty and the Golden Gate Bridge and the Eiffel Tower, and they all go dark at 8:30 their time. And it's just a nice time for us to spend time together and think about how we can help our Earth for the whole year, not just on Earth Hour.
That's so great. So at preschool, we try to compost our scraps from snack, and the children bring reusable water bottles to have instead of using paper cups with snack. But now that we're home, what are things that the kids can do to make a difference and help the planet?
Oh, you know what? Every single kid has so much power, sometimes just even in their little finger, to help our planet. So one thing for sure we can all do is turn off the lights when we're not using them. We can make sure that we turn off any water when we're not using it. So if we're brushing our teeth, we don't want to let that water run and waste all that fresh water. It takes a lot of energy to bring fresh water to our house every day. We can make sure that we recycle everything that we possibly can and that it ends up in our recycle can, and that we try to reuse things when possible. So at school, we often use both sides of every paper, for example. Well, we can do that at home too.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Now, I know you have a special something to show us, don't you?
I do. So I'm going to tell you a little story about plastic and bringing a waste-free lunch. So when you guys are older and you go to big school, you'll need to bring your own lunch often. And when my kids were little and they started going to big school, they had to start bringing their own lunch. And when you think about, let's say we have a lunch with a sandwich and an apple and maybe some chips, or maybe some carrot sticks. And what are we going to put that in? So sometimes we put that in plastic baggies, but plastic baggies have to go into the trash and they're not recyclable. But you can also use a reusable container. Look how old this one is. It's all beat up. And my kids have been using this container for so many years. In fact, my oldest is going to college next year, and this is his original container from when he was about your guys' age. And inside we can put a sandwich, or we could put maybe some cheese and some apple sticks on this side. And it saves a lot of plastic going into our landfill, because when we don't use reusable containers, we make a lot of trash. And every single plastic bag takes 1,000 years to break down. When I found that out, I knew that I needed to do something to help kids and families try to use reusable containers. So when my kids were little, they went to Spring Hill Elementary in Lafayette. And one day I decided to go into the trash and collect all of the plastic bags and chip bags that came in lunch that day. And you know what I did with it? I made a hat out of it. It's the craziest hat. Do you want to see it?
Yes, please.
Okay, hold on. Look at that. I have to scoot down so that you can see. Can you see me? There we go. You can see me. Is that just the craziest hat? It goes all the way around. And this was from one lunch at Spring Hill Elementary. And actually back then, Spring Hill Elementary was a much smaller school. We only had about 300 students. I know it's bigger now. And I thought to myself, wow, all of that is going to go in landfill and stay there for thousands, potentially thousands of years. But for every kid that used one of these or something like this, we could save a plastic bag or a chip bag from going into landfill. Actually, Joy, I ended up collecting the plastic bags for a whole week. And this is one day, the hat. So there is the whole suit, which I know you know, but there is an entire suit that goes almost all the way to the floor. You can see it on my website if you are ever interested. It's very, very big. It's very wide. Sometimes when I wear it to visit schools, I have to go through the doorway sideways like a crab to make sure I fit because it's so wide.
Wow. Well, I am happy to say, I bet if you went to Spring Hill Elementary now, I bet that would not happen, because I know you wore your suit and talked to the kids a lot about reducing plastic. And I think they use reusable water bottles, and they encourage them to bring their snacks in a reusable container from home. But what a powerful visual, right? Look at all of the plastic. And if that wasn't in a hat, that would all be going into the landfill and not being able to, what did you say, 1,000 years?
It takes 1,000 years for each one of these bags to break down back down into its natural elements.
Wow.
So, yeah, and it takes 10 seconds to wash this. So It seems like a fair trade to me.
Yes, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. And it's nice to have something like that for kids going to elementary school. It's fun to pick out your own reusable lunchbox and get your name on there and have something that you know is yours every day. Much better.
Very fun. Okay, I'm going to take it off.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to balance unless I'm moving around. We'll just set it right there. Okay, messes up my hair.
That's so great. Nanette, did you want to show us some of your book?
Absolutely. So this is Earth Hour. And remember, Earth Hour happens on a Saturday night near the equinox of March. And I think it's so special to be sharing this book on Earth Day, because really every day is Earth Day. And we can make every hour Earth Hour. There's not a day that goes by that we can't do something to help our Earth. And so I think it's just a great way to spend Earth Day with you. Should we read a couple of pages?
Sure, that would be great.
Okay, we'll read just a couple of pages. So Earth Hour, a lights out event for our planet. And the words are by me, but all the pictures are by Bao Lu. Bao is from Vietnam originally. He lives in Texas now, but he's from Vietnam. Okay. All over the world, millions use energy every day, every night. So we see all sorts of different ways that we use energy, right? I think it's easy to think that we use energy when we have a light switch on, but sometimes we don't think about the energy that we use, for example, our refrigerator, and why it's important to close the refrigerator door when you are done. Energy makes our home toasty when it's cool. It cooks the dumpling soup we ladle into bowls. So it takes energy, right, to cook our dinner, or if we have a hot breakfast, that all takes energy. Energy helps our ancient heritage shine proud. So in the book, all the monuments that we show all go dark for Earth Hour. So at 8:30, this is in Egypt, at 8:30, these monuments, they all turn off their lights.
Wow.
It heats the terrace as we dine under the stars. So heating our house, that takes a lot of energy. That's why it's important to make sure in the winter we leave the door closed. And in the summer, we can open the door and close the screen so we don't have to use as much air conditioning. And it keeps darkness at bay through long polar nights.
Wow. I know with kids home right now, I bet we're using a lot of energy for TVs, for refrigerator, for sure. There's a lot of opening and closing the refrigerator door. And these are all things that we can remember to turn off the lights, to make fewer trips to that refrigerator, right? Use the windows instead of the air conditioner.
That's right. That's right. And use natural light instead of turning the light, then you don't have to remember to turn the light off.
That's right.
When you leave the room. So if it's not nighttime, you can use natural light. So anyway, should we read a few more pages or are we?
Sure.
Okay.
Whatever you think.
Energy washes the fun and games from our clothes. So here we have some kids playing soccer. And when our clothes are dirty, it takes energy, right, for the washing machine and the dryer. So all of these things take energy. And the last one, when day is done, it warms our bath as we splash, splash, splash. So there's lots of ways we use energy. It takes energy to heat the water for our bath at night. And so it's super important that we save as much as we can because making energy creates air pollution in our environment. And that's not a good thing. That heats up our earth. So anyway, the rest of the book talks about what happens now on Earth Hour. You get to go back through each one of the pages and see all of these monuments and all of these families who have turned off their lights and what they're doing when they turn off the lights and how they're contributing and helping our earth.
That's so great. Thank you so much. So Nanette, for our friends who love to draw and love to write stories, what would you tell our preschoolers who think maybe they want to write a book one day?
Write it. Just start writing. Every single author who has published a book one day thought, I think I'd like to write a book. And they just started writing. And you can do the words and the pictures, or just the words, or just the pictures.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was interesting. You mentioned this weekend is Independent Booksellers Day. Is that right? Is Saturday? So today is Earth Day, but this Saturday is Independent Booksellers Day. So for our friends who would like to buy Earth Hour and have a copy just for themselves, I know in town in Walnut Creek, we have Flashlight Books, and they will deliver books to your door. You don't even have to leave your house. We have Bell and Bunna's in Lafayette, and there's something special about the Earth Hour books that we can buy there.
Both at Flashlight in Walnut Creek and at Bell and Bunna's, those books that they have in their store are signed. So they have something that looks a little bit like this that I went into the store and signed some copies. And so that makes it maybe a little bit special and a nice way to support a local business. So maybe consider that if you are interested in the book instead of buying on Amazon.
That's so great. That's so great. Thank you so much for sharing part of your Earth Day with us today. I know you've been very busy talking to children all over the world today.
I have. I've been to Texas and Rhode Island. It's a very busy day.
That's great. That's great. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to checking out your book.
Great. Thanks, Joy.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.